Have you ever thought, why do I suck at fantasy football? Welcome. This is the Commissioner Fantasy Football Podcast.
Hey, welcome back, and you're here with the Commissioner. Hey, we're less than a week away from the NFL season, the fantasy football season, so I'm pretty excited. I hope you're excited. I know a lot of people have done their drafts already. I know maybe some people have their drafts coming up. I've been through already 6 drafts. I have one more this Saturday, and there's always a possibility of other drafts coming up because people ask, hey, Eric, you want to be in the league? And I get kind of desperate, or not desperate, but I'm like, I'll try another league. So I'm in a total of 7 leagues. That's good, because last year I was in 11, so I'm cutting it down. But look, we're less than a week away. So if you drafted your team, I'm doing this show for you guys. If you haven't, go look up some other shows that I've done, some podcasts I've done about where to draft certain players. There's been a lot of changes within just maybe less than a week, and I'll go over those as well. So let's get into the news really quickly. Since about beginning of last week, or sorry, end of last week, beginning of last weekend, number one, Joe Mixon. He was absent with migraines. Some people associated that because he's looking for a new contract, an extension. He was missing in practice. He wasn't there. All the speculations are going around. I'm a Joe Mixon owner. I'm a Dynasty Joe Mixon owner. So that was kind of like, I need him to play. Joe Burrow's there. This whole new team's there. AJ Green's back. I'm excited about the Bengals. So when I heard the news, I was like, oh. And I had drafts coming up, and I did still draft them. But behold, he signed an extension. I think it's a 4-year extension. So he's got the contract signed. So he's going to be a Bengal for the next, I think, 4 years. So I'm excited about that. I'm kind of it becomes a stress level, not like a life stress level, but a fantasy world stress level for me. Because again, I'm a Joe Mixon Dynasty owner. I drafted in my Dynasty team. He's my number one guy. I'm excited about him. And so hopefully everything works out. I mean, it's worked out. So, but that's what I was hoping. And so I kept drafting him. And I think I drafted him in the league on Sunday. 2 leagues I drafted him on Sunday. So I was pretty excited. And all of a sudden, Alvin Kamara. He's missing, but his absence was unexcused, meaning every time he misses, he gets fined. What that shows, either he's, looking for more money, because he's also in the same position as Mixon. They were drafted in the same year. So he's looking for a contract, an extension. So there was talks, like even trades came up, that the Saints were about to possibly trade him. They were open to trading him. So just, I'm an Alvin Kamara owner. But with Alvin Kamara, what I've done on the 2 leagues that I have him in is I have Latavius Murray as my backup. And so for me, I wasn't too worried about that. Even if he went to a new team, again, that would be great for me because I got these 2 different players. I love Latavius Murray. He showed that he's proved himself before on other teams in Minnesota, and then he's proven himself last year as being next to Kamara. Kamara was gone last year. He stepped up, and in that offense, he will score. So for me, that's what I was talking about in those when you're drafting Kamara, that Latavius Murray is a pretty big key to have that guy because he could be useful during the season, even with Alvin Kamara. But when Alvin Kamara, something happens, great handcuff. On top of that, all of a sudden, the Jaguars, they cut Leonard Fournette. And that was big news. So he's cut. He's not injured. Why is he cut? Same thing. They wanted to trade him. Looks like nobody was trading for him. It's all this stuff going on. And so he's gone off. So he kind of fell in some drafts. But during the middle of my draft on Wednesday, I was in the middle of a draft, and my Twitter came up and it says, hey, Leonard Fournette is going to sign with the Buccaneers. Well, the Buccaneers, Ronald Jones is there. I have some shares of Ronald Jones. I was in the middle of a draft. I was planning to draft Ronald Jones. He kept falling. Ended up in that draft taking him like in the 11th round. Just taking, because it's also a keeper league. So taking him that late, Fournette, there's no guarantee he's going to be back with the Bucs next year. So Ronald Jones is still young, and so I drafted him just for maybe keeper value. So that was my mind process. That's what I was thinking about during the draft. So all this stuff is going around, and then I'm in the middle of a draft. So this is the NFL. This is fantasy. It's going to be like this. I think this season's going to be a roller coaster, and most fantasy seasons are roller coasters. But what I'm going to talk about today is I'm going to prepare you guys for the first week. The first and second week for me are the biggest keys in fantasy football, even in NFL. You start to learn a lot about the teams, who gets to play more, or what they're. Usually you learn it about a preseason as well, but we have no preseason. So this is even more important now going into the regular season, looking at the first couple of games, even maybe the first 3 games during the season, how teams are using players. So it's really important. For me, week 1 is big. I try to watch as many games as I can. If you have Game Pass, I get Game Pass every year. I'll go back and I'll rewatch games just so I could see what happened during these games, who's being used, what can I look for. And that waiver wire, that Tuesday, the first waiver wire, you'll be dropping players, you'll be picking up players. It happens every year. It's okay. But I'm going to give you guys tips to prepare you for the first week. Tip number 1 is, during this week, as all this has happened, stay updated. Now, a couple of ways to stay updated. I think I've given it before. If you are on Twitter, follow the Twitter accounts, follow the teams. I follow Mr. Schefter. So these are some of the, and I think there's other, you can find other news, NFL news source that are updated pretty quick. So for me, that's what I do. I'm on Twitter, my alert is on, so I get alerts all the time, news breaking. If you're on the Sleeper app, you'll see the Sleeper app is connected to some of these accounts, and you'll get an immediate update as well. The majority are not on the Sleeper app, so if you're not on Twitter, on the Sleeper app, look, last option, it's okay. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me because I will be posting in my story updates. I'll be posting rankings. I'll be posting things in my Instagram this year especially, focusing on updates and key things for you to know about. Again, you don't have to watch all the games in fantasy. You just have to be updated, especially going into week 1. Stay updated as much as you can. So follow me. I'll keep you updated for sure. I'll be on there. I get up early in the mornings, East Coast. We get posts, 6 a.m., 5:30 a.m. So we get notifications here. So I'll be posting them when you wake up. Just if you follow me, you'll look at my story, and these things will be in my story consistently. Number 2, stay updated on players. Meaning, a lot of times when you're going into your drafts or you draft your players, I'll share a key with you guys, because the leagues that I run or the leagues that I'm a commissioner in, we don't have any kickers. All the other leagues I'm in, we have kickers. So I was recently talking to somebody about this whole kicker debacle, that I don't like kickers. And I'm like, why not? Well, one of my reasonings is, do you ever see a kicker get drafted in the 7th round, 8th round? They always get drafted at the end. Why? Because they're almost irrelevant. They're really replaceable with the other 32 kickers that are there. You could pick up any kicker anytime. So one of the things I do, because a lot of leagues you have to draft a kicker, you have to draft the defense. What you can do in your league, and this is a key, you can do this if you want. If you're in the league with kickers, drop the kicker you have, pick up another player, and hold them on your bench. Pick up a key player. Like I picked up Boston Scott today. I have Miles Sanders. I picked up Boston Scott. I have my bench is loaded with a bunch of running backs. Because again, Miles Sanders is on the injury report. Look, if he for some reason doesn't play, I don't want to be on the waiver wire and somebody else picks up Boston Scott. So I dropped my kicker today. Picked up Boston Scott. I'm holding him on my bench. And then right before Sunday, if everything falls in line, Miles Sanders is playing, I'll drop Boston Scott, pick up whatever kicker, whatever ranking kicker on Yahoo. I think on Yahoo, on that one I did on Yahoo. I'll pick him up and I'll put him in. I do that all the time because for me, kickers are irrelevant. I'm going to stream a lot of defenses as well. That's what I'm going to do with defenses. I'm going to drop a defense and a kicker, and I'm going to pick up key players to hold on my roster. And then before Sunday, I'll pick up, I'll stream a defense and I'll stream some kicker. These are the things you can do to kind of solidify your bench, solidify your possibility of somebody getting injured or something happening, but you have that extra player. And use your IR spots. The IR spots this year, a lot of leagues extended them. We extended them. I have 5 IR spots in our commissioner. The leagues that I commission in, we have 5 IR spots. Use them. Like Jalen Reagor, he got injured. Look, I put him on the bench and I picked up Chris Thompson when Fournette got cut. It's a PPR league, so I like Chris Thompson. These are the things that you can do before the first week. And you can do this every week, but especially before the first week, because there's so much going into first week. We don't know yet. We haven't seen any preseason games, especially this year. This is a big key in those leagues where you have kickers and defenses. If you're in my league, sorry guys, we don't have that. I mean, you can drop a defense if you want, but all right. Number 3, again, go and understand your league. Understand the waiver process in your league, your waiver order. Hopefully you're playing Fab. Hopefully your waiver wire is Fab. If it's not, know what the waiver order is. Know what the waiver wire is. If it's reverse, if it's rolling, meaning you pick somebody up and you get dropped to the bottom, know your waiver wire. Know your league rules. Some leagues won't let you maybe drop a kicker, but I think majority do. So these are some of the things. Make sure you know your league. Go look at other teams. And just, that's the thing. Again, I said it before your draft, but if you already drafted and you don't know some of the things in your league, go look at the rules. Because sometimes that will matter on maybe dropping a player, picking somebody else up. So look out for that. And pay attention to the waivers. Who's on waivers right now as well. Somebody's going to be dropping people. Somebody's going to be dropping people for whatever reason. If a key player gets dropped, go get him. All right? All right, so also on the injury, going back to the injury one, there's a lot of players besides even Jalen Reagor, for example. David Montgomery's injured. I think Harris is injured from New England. So there's all these injuries. Pay attention and use the IR spots. So again, there's going to be an injury report coming up by next week before that next Thursday game. Pay attention. Use the IL spots. All right. Number 4. Look up the schedule for week 1. Know when your players are playing. Know exactly when they are playing, because there's a Thursday game, Sunday games, and there's 2. First week of NFL, there's 2 Monday night games. Pay close attention to the schedule, the teams that are playing. If you're undecided, if you're stacked with players and you're undecided who to start, and I'll do before week 1, I'll do guys you shouldn't start this week, or guys you should not, who you start over and who you should bench. So I'll do that, but especially know the schedule. Know the schedule of your players. Know when they're playing. Get to know them. Know if they're playing on Sunday. And again, try to even, on top of that, try to watch the games that your players are playing just to see how they're doing. And stay updated on that. And my final tip. Okay, I'll finish on this. I always give this tip to people for years now. People don't get it, and I don't know why. And I'll give you an example. A lot of leagues have a flex spot. A flex spot, again, you could put usually a wide receiver in, a running back, or a tight end. Okay, so you could put these players in this position. I'll give you an example. I have Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the league. He's playing on Thursday as a running back. He was when I drafted him, he fell into my flex spot. Now, the key, and again, this doesn't happen all the time, but I play as safe as possible. When he's playing on Thursday night, my player, whatever, a wide receiver, usually it's wide receivers or running backs because they have multiple positions, even the flex. Tight ends, again, it's usually 1, quarterback is 1, so you can't do that with those positions. So usually it's with running backs and wide receivers. Pay attention, because if Clyde Edwards-Helaire is playing on Thursday, I'm taking him out of my flex spot and I'm putting him in my running back slot. My running back slot. And for example, in this league, I have Mixon in that slot. So I put Mixon, who's playing Sunday, I put him into my flex. Now, why? So this doesn't happen a lot. But if something happens to Mixon, and I don't have any other running backs, and I use my flex spot because I use Clyde Edwards-Helaire in my flex spot. Let's say Mixon doesn't play on Sunday, and I don't have a really good running back to put in for him. I could have used Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the running back spot, and now maybe I have more wide receivers, and there's a good matchup with the wide receiver. Now I could use, instead of putting Joe Mixon, into my flex spot, since he's injured, I could put a wide receiver in there. That's a flex. So I hold the flex spot for Sunday, even for Monday. So the players that are playing Monday, I'll put them in the flex spot, because at least there's an option if something happens. Again, the chances of that happening are very slim. I get it. But I always tell people, make sure to do that rule. You get used to it. Sooner or later, you'll hit that situation where you have an injury, and now you don't have a good running back to put in, and you have a good wide receiver to put in, but you can't because it's a running back slot. So I hope I made that really clear. So if you're going into the Thursday night game, you have David Johnson for Houston, you have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you have Brandon Cooks, you have Will Fuller, you have Mecole Hardman, you have Tyreek Hill. You have all these players playing in that Thursday night game. Don't put them in your flex. That's all. It's very simple. Same thing on Sunday morning games. Try not to put anybody in the flex spot just in case something happens, because we never know what happens during games and during the season. I think that's one of the biggest keys I think you guys really need to hold on to. It'll save you 1 week. Again, most weeks you'll be fine. You'll be like, I don't need to do this, but there's going to be that one time you'll be like, I should have done it, and you might lose that week. So that's one of the biggest tips I usually give, and I'm going to give on this one. So make sure, and I'll remind probably in my next episode, make sure going into that Thursday night game, don't put anybody in your flex. Unless, for example, you have to, but I don't think you have to. So, all right. Again, I'll keep you guys posted. Try to follow me on Instagram. Try to follow me on YouTube. But again, Instagram, I'll be posting everything there. So I put everything in my story. I'll post some stuff into my actual Instagram page. But again, prepare, get ready, and we're almost there. We're almost there for some football. It's pretty excited. So good luck again. And if you're still drafting, go look at my other podcasts. Listen to my other podcasts and use some tips that I gave before. So good luck to you guys, and until next time.
Dude, you better not be sleeping after that podcast. That was an amazing message. Thank you for listening, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Commissioner. Also subscribe on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Any comments, questions, concerns, send them to the Instagram page, The Commissioner, your fantasy football guide.